Hey, Planeswalkers, hope you're doing well and staying safe. Welcome, my friends, to today's episode of a tier list. One of my favorite things that we do on a monthly basis here. We are doing all things Strixhaven standard related today, and we got a lot going on. So please feel free to check out the timestamps down below where I will cover what is a tier list essentially. Best of one, best of three tier lists for you, equip you with some of the best decks, kick you off for saying, hey, good luck, end of season, next season kind of a deal. And then on top of that, I will give you some retrospective and observations that I found over the last season. And last but not least, we'll talk about three key decks that I uncovered over the past month that I wanted to share with you as well. So Planeswalkers, appreciate that. If you have questions, if you have comments, let me know down below. Feel free to hop into the Discord server that is in the description. Also a great way to support the channel, and flip me a like. So we just came off of some fun live streaming. Great run with Historic going from 91% to 95. So had a lot of fun there. So that's something else that you can do as well. So first off, what is a tier list? So for those of you that don't know, a tier list is a comprehensive stack rank in terms of Magic, all the best decks. So it's a which deck is more likely to beat another deck, win percentage, also in terms of the scope of the list, in totality to the decks that we have in the list, as well as the meta and the broader capabilities there as well. So that is the big piece. That's what we have. We're doing from a top to bottom. So that is why you were here and probably why you clicked on today's episode. So with that, again, just want to say thank you. I now have what you have been waiting for. So let's go ahead and we'll look at June's list here. I know many of you are always excited to see this. Let me blow this out for you. There we go. We do these things real, we do them raw, and we do it live. So I will zoom in because my eyesight is absolutely terrible and yours is probably better than mine. I'm going to move my friendly face over here and we're going to keep going. So this is the tier list. We have 50 plus decks today for standard. We'll talk about some of these observations like I said. On top of it, you can find this tier list down below. I like to say that because there is a lot more detail for each of these decks that I've covered over the last couple months that I love to equip you with. And the key point here being end of season, we got like very, very short timing here for you to get to that top 1200 ranked. I've already made my Mythic qualifier, so I don't plan on trying to hit. And I wish you the best of luck, and I'll leave a slot open for you. Anyway, with that, let's go ahead and see what we got for best of one. So best of one for June. We have Mono White Lifegain, Boros Winota, Mono White Snow Aggro, Mono Red Snow Aggro, Jeskai Cycle, Dimir Lurrus Rogues, Mono Black Auras, Naya Winota, Izzet Dragons, Gruul Adventures, and Magda Gruul. So one of the things with this list, as we cover more decks, it grows, it gets bigger. I make a bell-shaped type curve for you, so when you see all these things in tier 1, that is why. Sometimes I like to break it into a tier 4 list as well, but in particular for this one, we are doing 3, so I did want to call it out. Tier 2, Temur Adventures, Mono Green Stompy, Sultai Ultimatum, Naya Jegantha tokens, Rakdos Rogues, Rakdos Sacrifice, Jeskai Mutate, Esper Yorion Doom, Orzhov Humans, Sultai Yorion Control, Sultai Titan's Nest, Dimir Yorion Control, Temur Lukka, Esper Control, Rakdos Midrange, Sultai Snow, Simic Jadzi, Orzhov Lifegain, Orzhov Clerics, Mono White Angels, and Boros Knights. To close it out, we got our tier 3. We got Izzet Spells, Azorius Magecraft, Selesnya Counters. We have Orzhov Magecraft as well, Golgari Elves, Izzet Zerda Spells, Golgari Midrange Poisons, Simic Ramp, Jund Magecraft, Big Red, Mono White Enchantments, Mono Blue Snow Control, Azorius Blank, Jeskai Transmogrify, Mono Black Lifegain, Selesnya Magecraft, Mardu Breach, Azorius Flyers, and Azorius Auras. So that is the best of one list that we have there. I really, really like what we have. In totality, what you probably noticed is the stuff from last season has primarily been surfaced to the top. It's spread out a little bit more. A lot of the decks that we covered over this season, a lot of cool stuff, by the way. Tribal things, that was kind of the name of the game for this last month. Elves, angels, humans, you name it, we got it, kind of a deal. And those things kind of surfaced at the top, and then the rest kind of filled in some of the tier 2 stuff and the tier 3 as we kind of expanded out, which has been something that we've learned to expect, particularly since I've been doing this probably for, oh man, almost a year now. So that is the best of one list. If you have questions, if you have comments, let me know. Would love to hear what you think down below or in the Discord server. So next, what do we got going on? Best of 3. So again, this list is available for you down below. If you have questions, if you have comments, let me know. So here's what we got going on. Mono white snow aggro in tier 1. We also got Temur Adventures, mono red snow aggro, Dimir Lurrus Rogues, Jeskai Cycle, Naya Jegantha, Boros Winota, Magda Gruul, Izzet Dragons, Sultai Ultimatum, Jeskai Mutate. Now, again, pretty similar to a lot of stuff that we see in Best of 1. Pretty interesting. There is a bigger range here and a less bias kind of towards the true aggro stuff. We see the aggro, we see some of the mid-range, we see some of the late games. In particular, over the last 2 months, there has been a cycle and a balance. I've talked about this in Friday Night Meta. You should check it out. That will be down there for you below. We've seen this consolidation in the decks and a little bit in the win rates as well. Then as we move to tier 2, we have Gruul Adventures, Temur Lukka, Naya Winota, Sultai Yorion Control, Dimir Yorion Control, Esper Yorion Doom, Mono Green Stompy, Titan's Nest, Rakdos Rogues, Rakdos Midrange, Mono White Lifegain, Rakdos Sacrifice, Azorus Blank Big Red, Mono White Angels, Golgari Elves, Selesnya Counters, Mono Blue Snow Control, Simic Jazzy, Mono Black Auras, Izzet Dragons Spells. It's a combo deck. Esper Control, Orzhov Cleric, Sultai Snow, Mono White Enchantments, Jeskai Transmogrify. We also have our Orzhov Lifegain, Boros Knights, Orzhov Humans, Golgari Midrange Poison, Simic Ramp, Mono Black Auras, Izzet Spells, Marduk Breach, Azorus Magecraft, Orzhov Magecraft, Selesnya Magecraft, John Magecraft, Mono Black Lifegain, Azorus Flyers, Azorus. So that is our best of 3. You'll notice a little bit of the transition between best of 1 and best of 3 there, in terms of some of the tier 2 and tier 3, kind of mixing things up as well. Some certainly better than others in that space. So that is a big thing for us to recognize. Those of you playing best of 3, this is kind of where I'd focus here towards the end of the season. Additionally, for the rush hour, as I always like to call it, those of you playing best of 1, this thing as well, pay attention to what you're seeing, and then flip into the right counter decks, as I always like to say, my friends. So that is what we have for the tier list, my friends. Appreciate you tuning in to see this. As I say, flip me a like. Great way to support the channel down below always. Now, the key piece is, what did we learn? What have we seen? What are some of those key observations? So I'll leave the list up for you here as I talk through some of these things. So first, let's go on an adventure. One, I like saying this because we have the lovely Forgotten Realms D&D. First off, please let me know in the comments if you'd like me to start covering some of the spoilers and the release and those things. Happy to do so. Lots of talk in Discord server. Many folks have said, yes, Mithras, get on it. You're not cutting it. So if that's the thing, let me know. Would love to hear from you. But when I'm talking about adventure, I'm not talking about the new dungeons. I am talking about the dominance and continued dominance of Throne of Eldraine. I think many of us are ready and waiting for rotation. It has been a powerhouse, and we're certainly getting fatigued. And a lot of the decks, the key decks, that we see in both best of 1 and best of 3, continue to have some sort of adventure component that has not changed over the last season. The other thing that's pretty neat that I did find is, going into this month, a lot more decks that we covered definitely had a greater Strixhaven interaction. So a lot of the mechanics, a lot of folks focused on that build for best of 1, learning and lessening in terms of the mechanics, which was pretty neat to see. The other really cool thing is we got a few more enablers in terms of our tribals. So as I mentioned, we got elves, we got clerics, we got humans and angels, to name a few that you can check out. The other really cool thing is combo lands. So the big one that we saw coming into this season and certainly coming out of Strixhaven Championship was Jeskai Mutate. Check it out. It made an impact in both archetype played and win rates. In terms of win rate in totality, it wasn't super strong, but as you narrow into the top end of the pool and the competitive landscape, it did really well. And we saw that in some of the tournaments as well. I talked about this in Friday Night Meta. You should check it out and get a little bit more details. But the reality is it is a hard deck. So there's going to be a skewed win rate on it out of the gate that adds to the totality of it. But certainly at the top level, it is still played in best of 3. Something interesting that I did want to call out was this cooling of Goldspan or Goldspan cooling. Goldspan for a couple things here, 2 key pieces. The first is that Dragons was so hot for a while. It's kind of fallen down, and certainly this is what we expect in a blended and balanced meta. The second piece is, if I recall, one of the first mono red aggro decks that I ran had Goldspan in it, and so did almost every other deck. So we certainly started to see the fine-tuning of these decks, Goldspan start to come off some of them, and seeing where that made a lot of sense. In particular, you could say it was added to Jeskai Mutate, and that made a absolute powerhouse. The card still is a powerhouse, and everybody loves dragons, right? Last but not least, Forgotten Realm. I talked about this with the Dungeons and Dragons piece. If you're interested in the spoilers, love to hear from you. Let me know. I've honestly been quite amazed with many of the decks that had continued from Kaldheim. We still see that. So they're not long forgotten, which is why I wanted to mention that. The second piece here on Forgotten Realms is, as these spoilers are coming out, I'll talk a little bit about this more, maybe as I do one last tier list before we move into it, is keep an eye out, because as I always recommend, a lot of these key decks will continue to move forward until the rotation. We'll get some key cards there that will come in. We'll get some key mechanics that will come in. So example, Magecraft. Now, Magecraft was certainly a lot of fun, explosive, made an impact on Historic as well. And it will continue to do those kinds of things. So we just got to keep an eye on that and how those things are going to build out. So that is the tier list observations for this month of June, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. Now what I want to do is I want to impart you with 3 fun decks, cool decks, competitive decks that we had coming out of the season that I think you'll appreciate. Certainly I know several folks do. Nonetheless, so let's go ahead and see what we have going on here in terms of those decks. So first but not last is Jeskai Mutate. So I wanted to cover this one because, as I mentioned, this one had a huge impact here on the meta. We talked about that. You get to that combo land, you get this thing going, really kind of can be a turn 4 deck. So very impressive. A lot going on. Well, turn 5, a lot going on with it, and you can really make it happen. We got a lot of key pieces here with Lord Drakus. We got rid of some of the turn 2 stuff, the unsubstantiate on your own guys, as well as expressive iteration as a pickup, and then Vadrock, Apex of Thunder being a key piece, as well as Goldspan, and just going to town. Obviously the sideboard to boot, depending on what you're playing, how to protect things, and so forth. Again, you can check this out in detail on the channel. We had a great run with this deck and was a ton of fun. The second one I wanted to cover, Golgari Elves. This deck is so much fun. In both best of 1 and best of 3. This was Sin's deck. So for those of you that are familiar with Sin, Sin is in the Discord server. He made it to Mythic with this deck, and did it on his own terms. So pretty awesome. I was super excited to cover this one. It is a house and a ton of fun. The Skemfars here, particularly Shadow Sage, is an absolute sleeper that a lot of folks miss, and it's absolutely a ton of fun to play this deck, and we had a blast with it as well. So definitely want to spotlight that. for you here today as one of those tribal ones of importance. Last but not least, we have Simic Jadzi. So this one was by our friend TZ Eleanor. Eleanor worked extremely hard, also known as Exedum, on building this deck in our Deck Builders channel on the Discord server. Has an incredible win rate with it right now and competitive, by the way. We were talking on Twitch earlier, and doing very, very well. So this deck to me is essentially a Platinum to Mythic 6+ win deck. On top of that, love spotlighting this stuff, spotlighting the community, and we had a blast with this. All revolves around Jadzi. I can't recall, I don't think I got this to crack off on the video. I did in practice, and this thing is absolutely bonkers. Quandrix Commands bonkers, Quandrix Apprentice bonkers, and this thing is a ton of fun. So she did a great job on pulling together a best of one. I've added to the sideboard in terms of some other things that you could do, and an absolute powerhouse. So I wanted to call this one out too. It's a lot of fun. I know many of you liked it as well, and thank you, Eleanor and the community, for the contributions on this one. So these were the 3 decks that I want to talk to you about: Jeskai Mutate, Golgari Elves, and Simic Jadzi. For standard, we have covered so many other things that you can absolutely check out. We saw that in the tier list as well. So let me pull that back here one more time to close out today's episode. So we covered everything that we talked about in terms of best of one. We look at here in terms of best of 3. You can see it again. This information is all available to you down below. You can go to my website and see it as well. There we'll have all the links and everything else, and on top of that, the articles that I always post with these key tier lists for you, because I love to equip you with everything that I can, because that's what I do. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, we talked about what a tier list is. We covered best of 1. We covered best of 3. We gave you 50+ decks. Insane. We work hard at this stuff, and I appreciate your support and your contributions in the community. We talked about the Discord stuff. If you have a list that you'd like to share, I would love to run it always. I have a lot of fun on that, and I appreciate doing that. Hopefully we'll see you there in the Discord server doing the deck builder stuff as well, as I love to spotlight those. We did open up to Jank, so I enjoy doing that as well, and a new series that we're trying to work out here too. So with that, we talked about some of the observations, and we gave you 3 fun key decks, competitive decks here towards the end of the season. So give you something to start the season off right, or something that you could potentially play here to continue to move your pathward up, or top 1500 kind of a thing as well. So Planeswalkers, with that said, thank you so much. Big shout out to the YouTube members, both Sin and Pink Dreamery, also Patron, Guru, for your support. Everyone here for your support, your likes, your views, and the subscriptions so much. YouTube members, YouTube and Twitch subscribers, everyone, please, so much. Thank you. I'm very humbled, and I love this community very much. So with that, thank you. Stay tuned. Flip me a like if you enjoyed today's video as well. Other great ways for the channel, like I said, down below. Merch gear, just stuff like this you can pick up. You can have your own very own Mithras hat. We got books coming. We got the water. We got the glasses here. The Yeti stuff going on. Lots of cool things. So thank you. And stay tuned, because we have more top decks. Standard, historic. We got Jank coming. We got Friday Night Meta coming. We got more tier lists coming, believe it or not. I got historic on it's on the way. It's getting going. It's getting typed up. It's getting pulled together. So stay tuned on that. And we have our new set release coming soon, my friends. So with that, take care. Stay safe. Till next time, Mithras out.